My Picardo Jeweler's watch tells me it is 9:09 and change here this morning. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. Broadcasting today from the United States of America. I could prove it because our president and his administration are working to do things to help the American people. How novel. It's also the place for the brave. Like the veterans we salute today, thanks to John Basiliga, featuring today his Great Eastern Roofing Systems Company. Like attorney Lawrence Finn, Pocono Pines, Michael Keating, born Newark, but he was raised in Pittston. Jerry Mott, Scranton. Veterans we lost, but celebrate today, thanks to John. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible founding fathers, that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom was not something that could be parceled out to groups. It was not something that could be controlled by government or government officials, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that because of our commitment to common sense, we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you in a world where one of our major political parties has gone insane, where the establishment has gone insane, both here and abroad. And we're here to bring it right back. Well, good Monday, guys. Thanksgiving week, one of my favorite weeks of the year, if not my favorite. Well, again, it depends what happens. But I just love Thanksgiving. I say this about Thanksgiving versus Christmas. And I'm aside from the religious implications, quite obviously. But as a holiday, not as a holy day, as a holiday, Thanksgiving, unlike Christmas, which is all wind up and no pitch, this entire weekend is great. Now that they've added NFL football on Friday, that's great. So we play what's called the Toilet Bowl that has been going on for, I don't know, it's got to be 50 years, maybe. I haven't been in it for 50 years, but 20-some. And with just a brief interruption, a brief interlude for prison. But, yeah. So we'll be doing that and our normal traditions. A little bit of a hiccup. Cutie, we had moved Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' house up to 1 o'clock, which I love. Although I can't eat what I used to eat. If I eat a decent amount even at my parents, I can't eat again when we go up to Cutie's sisters. And the food is fabulous at both places, so I want it. I just can't do it. But anyway, because of a little bit of a turkey snafu, we're going to be just going to my mother's, and Cutie's going to have to visit and then go to her family, and we'll be separate for at least during the day on Thanksgiving. That's a little disappointing, but these things happen. But yeah, the whole holiday. And when in the days when I really went out, and maybe we'll do it again, you'd go out on that Wednesday night and everybody'd be in town, and it was fabulous. So Cutie and I went Friday, stayed home. Saturday, we said, hey, we're just going to go down to Terra. And we're going to sit at the bar, and they now have TVs. They're not too oppressive. They don't take away the vibe. But we'll sit at the bar and relax and, order appetizers and whatever. It was just a fabulous night. So many great people coming in. They had Latino night at Sergei's. It was jammed. And people were having a great time upstairs and downstairs. It was really a great day. Great day. Then yesterday, Cutie and I, we babysat 3 of my 4 grandchildren. And we have an infant now, little MJ. And little MJ's a fuss budget. So Cutie's better at playing with the little, my little girl grandchildren. And so she was doing that. And so I was holding little MJ. I call him Spitz. That's a family nickname. And so we had some real bonding time. But he's just one of these little babies who 10 minutes in one particular position, then he wants something else. And, 5 minutes with the bottle and then no. And all of that. So, but it was great. It was great. Then you have to get up and walk around with him, and then that calms him down again. But a very willful little boy and fun. But it was that was a great afternoon. But Cutie and I said, wow. I remember when we went quickly, when I was with raising kids, we had twins. So we went from 1 to 3 like in a flash. And then 4 and 5 after that. But every other year. But I remember those days after yesterday. It's a little tiring. Exhausting would be an exaggeration. But yeah, great weekend. I hope you had a good one too. And it has to be you can't overdo it because you want to be ready for action for Thanksgiving, whether that's the Wednesday night or of course for Thanksgiving itself. And then see, for me, Friday, Saturday, Cutie does all our plans. I don't know what she has in store for us, but I've delegated that. I'm not henpecked. There's a difference. I suspect I could be, but I'm at the point where I say, well, no, I don't. I just don't do that. I'm not in charge of our social life. You have to talk to Cutie. Cutie will arrange things. And so I don't know what she has arranged, and I don't have to know because I just have to, she'll give me a time to be ready, and I do that, and that's it. That's all. It's a very easy, headache-free existence. Oh, Cabinet Guy says, you didn't watch the Eagles get shot down? Yes, we did. Wow. I thought they were going to blow them out yesterday. And it's 21-0, and the Eagles get the ball, and then wow, and then they just fell apart in the second half. Frustrating game, but it's a football game. Cutie and I were saying, we were talking about it on Friday or Saturday at Terra. We said, well, why don't we bet together? $100, nothing of consequence. And then. I guess as we'd have a couple of drinks, well, maybe we'll bet a lot of money. And fortunately, we did not bet anything. Man, that would have ruined the weekend. Whew. Crazy, though. Yeah, the football was good. I watched a lot of football with little MJ there. Because obviously he doesn't know what room he's in, and you feed him in the living room. But yeah, that was the weekend. It was good. We got a shock collar for Chauncey because he's very, speaking of willful, he gets himself in he gets him wound up, and he's at least 120 pounds, maybe more, and so he can be overwhelming. So he's bigger than Cutie. So we had to get a shock collar for him. So, because if you have a robe on for some reason that floats his boat, and he starts grabbing and pulling on the sleeves of your robe, more with Cutie than me. But, so he's going to have to be corrected in some, and I've got to get him to get along with the cat. He'll just chase it. He doesn't dislike the cat. He just loves chasing the cat. And that poor little guy, poor Ponth, he just wants to participate in family life, and Chauncey will not let him. And it's a relentlessness, too. So we'll see if the shock collar takes care of that. It doesn't hurt him. It just surprises him. And we'll see if that actually trains him a little bit. All right, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Segment 1 has concluded. You've heard we ran the Mondami Trump stuff. Mondami Trump stuff. Mondami he's a shapeshifter. He's just a complete phony. And so he was as meek as could be in the Oval Office. And then, then sharper language on the weekend. That total phoniness, that fake smile. He's really revolting, and he's a communist. And by the way, what's the difference between a socialist and a communist? I really want to know. See, this is all, we got to remember for these left-wing goofballs, it's branding. So the communist brand is no good. The socialist brand is okay, so they call themselves socialists. Well, you can't have socialism without being a communist, without being totalitarian, because a certain amount of people are going to resist having their freedoms and their choices taken away. Not to mention their standard of living. Yeah, amazing. Navy guy. Yeah, Navy guy's right about the Giants. They're a fun team to watch. You can't hate them, can you? Even though they got rid of my coach, but that's okay. They're just not that good. But, yeah, big football week this week. And I'll put on the golf shoes, which serve as cleats on Thursday morning. We'll take a break and be back. The Platters. Murph says this date, 1958, they were moving up the charts with their new hit, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. Bob Cordaro back on the eponymous program. We're going to finish today, Bulldog, with Breaking Benjamin, because they were from Wilkes-Barre, and they had the #1 hit back in 2009. I Will Not Bow. I'm pretty sure I'll remember it. So a couple of texts I want to get to, because there are some good ones. The very first inclination of a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia is starting to come to fruition. You have Democrats running the news outlets saying it's going to be a bad deal for Ukraine when they don't even know what the deal is yet. These people are sick. They'd rather go to war, have the war go on for years and spend hundreds of billions of tax dollars. Tom from Dallas, you're right. It's sad. The Democrat Party is a disgrace. Think of it. Oh, God. You could just go from Hakeem Jeffries to stupid Chuck Schumer. Wow. These are awful, awful people. They're not just wrong on policy. They're disgusting people. Sorry to say it. And I am sorry to say it. I really am. But you got to call balls and strikes. Somebody else, Bob, all over the internet, Doge to shut down early within a month. Doge was a good thing, but executed wrong. I'll quibble with that contention, but you continue. The whole concept of chainsaw to government. What chainsaw? They identified cuts of about $100 billion. We spend about $4 trillion a year. What chainsaw? See, you have fallen victim. You've fallen victim to the media lies and the Democrat lies. But what Doge did for those who are discerning, it demonstrated that government was nothing but a circle jerk. $1 trillion of your dollars. $1 trillion of your dollars every year going to nonprofits and NGOs in the Beltway to spend money on ridiculous programs that never gets to the programs as ridiculous as they are. You know, all that money, Sesame Street in Ukraine and all the nonsense, it never got there. It paid 6- and 7-figure salaries to people inside the Beltway and never arrived. Peru didn't have LGBTQ training. It never got there. Remember the $93 billion that the disgusting, sickening Biden administration let out the door after Kamala was defeated? $93 billion. Nobody knows where it went. Nobody knows what it did. Remember the $2 billion to Stacey Abrams Group? How did she go from bankruptcy to multimillionaire? To lose elections. You would think she'd be poorer after that. No. The disgrace of what government has become on all levels, that was a huge eye-opener. We just cannot forget it. Now, you cannot control the left-wing media. And you remember all the protests over Doge, burning Teslas and all that? People paid to do it. They didn't even know what they were protesting about. They didn't know what they were burning cars for. Had no idea. They were paid to do it, number one. Number two, nobody was protesting the programs. What was happening is the people who've been buttering their own bread paid people to keep government big, bloated, and controlled by them. That's what happened. And that was never going to change because you were goring their ox. Government is a disgrace. The Democrat Party is a disgrace. The establishment in Harrisburg, in Washington, and in your hometown, disgraceful. That's what Doge did. A few billion shekels it saved, yeah, maybe a good thing. By the way, all volunteers. So any money they saved, they saved. But the exposure of what government had become, which is, oh, I'll take care of you, you take care of me, I take care of you, I'll get you government taxpayer money, then you contribute to my campaign, and let's just keep this ball rolling. Ginny C says, you better watch yourself before Cutie puts a shock collar on you. Have a good Thanksgiving for you and yours, and please keep me in your prayers. Need them for a proper diagnosis. You are in our prayers, Ginny. Thank you. Joe from Trips Park, most people complaining about Doge can't write $1 trillion on a piece of paper, much less understand the slush fund Doge uncovered. And that's all it was. Government as a slush fund. Somebody else, your constant ad hominem attacks are getting boring. You're a smart person. You could do better. Or tell me. Tell me what is getting boring. And please remember this. At least you're listening. But the issue is, what are they doing with their money? They're wasting your money, and you don't care. What's that about? I don't get it. I really don't. Wasting your money on nonsense, and you don't care. You want it to continue. Crazy. Well, all right. We're past time. Let's do what we got to do. Hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back with our Veterans Tribute and then the weather and more. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our friend, John Basiliga. Featuring on Mondays, His first company, Eastern Roofing Systems, Jessup, PA. One of the largest and the premier roofing contractor for institutional, commercial, and other means throughout the eastern United States. And guess what? They'll take all that expertise, all that buying power, and bring it to your home or small building here in Northeast PA because they're headquartered here. Eastern Roofing Systems. Attorney Lawrence Finn. He passed away November 10th at Lehigh Valley Hospital Muhlenberg campus. He graduated from Plymouth High School in 1961, then King's College. He was a teacher, and then he enrolled in officer candidate school at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, where he was commissioned second lieutenant in the Army Corps of Engineers. He served in Vietnam from 1970 to 71. After returning, Larry enrolled in the University of Toledo School of Law, graduating in 1974. He was a member of the Bradford Bar Association for 3 years and the Monroe County Bar Association from 1979 until his death. He practiced law in Pocono Pines for over 40 years. He's survived by his wife of 54 years, Anne, who was also formerly of Wilkes-Barre, his son, his daughter, 4 grandchildren, and many other family members. Interred in Bethlehem, PA. Attorney Lawrence Finn. Our veteran this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, morning clouds, then sunny and breezy, 48. It's already 44. We could hit 50 today. Tonight, cloudy skies, 35. Tuesday, clouds with showers likely late in the day, 50. Wednesday, clouds, breaks of sun, milder with a chance of showers, high near 60, and that's as far as Joe takes it. We don't know what's going to happen after that. I heard tell it's going to get colder. One of our listeners texted in, Bob, you missed the point. Doge did expose government waste. That was a good thing. But in the end, people have wanted good government. If my narrative is wrong, no, they don't want good government. There is no such thing. There's no such thing as good government. Government is made of people. People's frailties, when you give them a little power, are exaggerated. And that's why government sucks. You institute a government program, it fails, and then there are unintended consequences. Anyway, Republicans are doing such a great job modifying the government. Why are they getting crushed in the last election and the upcoming midterms? Please answer. Well, people are stupid. You don't get that yet? There's no, great wisdom of the mob. They fall for everything. They fall for everything. You look at it, you're falling for it. That there's good government. There are no good government programs. Zero. Let's take the gold standard. Okay? Let's take the gold standards. Let's take two. Two gold standards in government. Okay? One, both of which are programs that the government should do. That's Social Security. It's an abject failure. We're giving wealthy people money. Wealthy senior citizens are getting money from people who are poor. Do you know who pays a millionaire Social Security recipient's Social Security? an assistant mechanic with 2 kids that's barely keeping his head above water. That's who pays their Social Security. It's an abject, complete failure, and it's still going to go bankrupt. Medicare, the same thing. Now, what's the other? And by the way, it's essential, but it's supposed to be for poor people. They screwed it up. It's for people of all stripes, all income levels. That's insane. And guess what? The people who've made a lot of money during their lifetimes, they get more Social Security than people who need it more. It's a completely upside down program. It's insane. Social Security is the proof that nothing works in government. Then you take the Defense Department. We're looking at the Chinese. Look at all the ships they're building. Look at all the capacity that they're creating. Look at all the lethality that they're creating. We spend $900 billion per year. We can't even build a ship. So please don't tell me about government. Good government doesn't exist. It's all levels of failure. And then lesser unintended consequences. It's crazy. Somebody takes it, only Republicans are good government? No! Who said that? Republicans are they're part of the screw up. They're part of the screw up. It's a disaster. Government is a complete disaster. And some really clever people realized, hey, we're spending so much money and nobody's paying attention. Let's start borrowing money from the government through the Energy Department. Let's start borrowing it through HHS and you name it. And let's make ourselves rich with nonprofits. And then we'll support the candidates who support the spending so that we get more. We're only giving back their tax dollars in campaign contributions. This is insane. Somebody else on a different aspect of government. All one needs to look at, they text in, failed government is to look at today's New York Post. There's a great article on how these goofy liberal judges are literally getting people killed by not locking up these career criminals. Example this week in Chicago, 8 people, mostly children, shot at a Christmas tree lighting. Yeah, how about that melee? And they don't want the National Guard. They don't want help. These sick, insane, evil people. Brandon Johnson is evil, the mayor. Jay Pritzker is evil. Then the woman getting set on fire in Chicago, the guy was arrested 72 times. And that's right, Chicago, $14.5 million spent on travel for teachers and administrators, and the kids can't spell dog if you give them the D and the G. Excellent. Obvious. Great. It's awful. Absolutely awful. Here's another, again, it's a TDS, but there's TRS or RDS, Republican derangement syndrome, too. Did I mention party? Name some evil Republicans. Here's a person who just gets triggered and doesn't listen. Let me ask you a question. This is for this listener who's on the Republican thing. All right. What difference does it make when I say, and I could go through the whole list of Democrats that are insane, bordering on evil, who are driving this country to ruin. And I could go through example after example after example. You give me the example of the Republican doing the same thing. Please. That's just where we are right now. Crazy. Please tell me something good they're doing. You tell me something good the Democrats are doing. Please do it. I'm open to it. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to discuss it. But for now, we have to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, Bloomberg Money Minute in between. But let's hear from our great sponsors. The Young Rascals, Murph tells us this date, 1965, they started recording their hit Good Lovin'. Bob Cordaro back with you. And then, of course, 1944, this date. U.S. bombers based in Saipan attacked Tokyo in the first raid against the Japanese capital by land-based planes. Unlike the Israelis, we just bombed the snot out of the Japanese. We didn't care if civilians were killed. The point was to terrorize them, to let them realize that they're losing this war and that ultimate destruction was coming. And it saved millions and millions of lives, mostly Japanese lives, by the way. I would maintain the same thing had happened in Gaza if we had just let the Jews go get them. Somebody takes that. I was thinking while you're off for the holidays, instead of the best of shows, play the leaf filter commercial the entire show. I don't know why they don't change that thing. They should have 7 commercials. For how much? Because they have a local buy and they have a national buy. That's why you hear it so much. Hey, we need the money. Listener asks, you just said Republicans are failures too. Please tell me something they are failing at. They're failing at reducing the size of government. And there's certain realities you have to deal with, which is the stupidity of the American voter and their capacity to believe the Democrat Party and the media and their lies. But they haven't reduced the size of government. They've exposed the waste. They exposed the nonsense. We only have to think about any particular program, we realize what a disaster it is. Yet they've failed to cut it. So that's the failure. Government has grown in leaps and bounds to our detriment, to the detriment of the country, to the detriment of the American people. Bob, how about Shapiro bragging how he's giving $198 million of taxes back to 1 million people in Pennsylvania ever since the budget passed? It only cost the state $50 billion to do it. Also, what about the other 12 million people in Pennsylvania? Well, he's a typical phony left-wing Democrat. Somebody else texted in. John Fetterman on Fox yesterday said the Democrat Party owns the shutdown and the Hitler hate speech must stop immediately. And he's not going to participate in the insane, hateful nonsense his own party represents. Fetterman's basic narrative is it's time to get back to governing and doing our jobs as lawmakers and turn down the temperature. Fetterman said we were elected to serve the American people, not our own political party's interests. He's stating truth to power. Mr. Paul says, ad hominem. You are talking about what they actually do, what the party actually does. Yes. The fact that the Democrats know it, Hakeem Jeffries, listen, nobody's that stupid. They perceive that they're voting in their own interest. Many people are wrong. But do you think for a second that Mamdani or any Democrat believes socialism, communism is the way to go, is the best for the American people? No, it's the best for them. It's best for them. It's working nicely. Mamdani has not done anything in his life. Look at him. He's the mayor of New York. He's meeting in the Oval Office with the President of the United States. He's on national news every week or anytime he wants to be. It's working. Communism is working for him. He could not point to a single example. Bernie Sanders, the rest of the goofballs. None of them could point to the success of a government program, to the success of communism, to the success of socialism. None of them could, because there are no examples. And at some point, when someone's lying to you, then the attack and the turret has to turn on them. Hakeem Jeffries, he's an awful person. Awful. He lies without hesitation. And without grace, by the way. Mr. Paul doesn't know what ad hominem is. Well, actually, you don't. It's an argument directed against a person rather than the position they are maintaining. I'm talking about their positions. I'm talking about their policies. And if you subscribe to those, there's something wrong with you. That's like an inevitable lead-in. If you're trying to pass policies that will ultimately damage the American people but benefit you, you're a terrible person. And that's where the entire leadership of the Democrat Party, and I guarantee you a lot of their followership, that's a place they fall into. Sad. The government only does what's best for rich people. Stop it. Stop it. Jeez. That's just so stupid. That's so stupid. Rich people don't need the government. Name a policy that's good for rich people that any of these idiots have come up with. They're fine without it. They're fine without any of the programs. That's why they should not be given Social Security. Crazy. All right. We got to take a break because it's news time. My Bacardo Jewelers watch tells me so. Oh, gosh, I'm way over. And we got Monday Musings on the other side. So let's get to the news. 10:05. We'll be back. Great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:12. Well, it's actually 10:13 here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Monday, November 24, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great Eastern roofing systems, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John. Like attorney Lawrence Finn of Pocono Pines, Michael Keating, Pittston, PA, and Jerry Mott, Scranton. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment, this meeting of the Club for Common Sense promising you a sanctuary of sanity from groupthink and the lies that emanate from the establishment, the Democrat Party, and their, I don't even know what you call them. They're handmaidens in the media. By the way, did I say it's 8:05? 10:05, of course. Well, it's Monday. You know what that means. It means Monday musings. It means John Perillo. And here he is, fresh from a Colorado ranch. How are you, my man?
I'm good, Bob. We had our first rain here in about 2.5 months, so everything's a muddy mess. And for your listeners out here, if you have animals and you live out here, it can be a real chore. But it's good to be here with you guys. And Bob and I were in the middle of having a discussion around the affordability discussion. And while I don't think we should read too much into the results of New York and Virginia, the elections there was a clearer message, and the president has been talking about affordability as well. And, voters have a short memory, so it's really good that energy prices are way down, but they're now faced with this drastically rising healthcare costs as a result of the end of the Obamacare subsidies.
By the way, do you know that a majority of people, when asked, say that gas prices have gone up?
Yeah, well,
I mean, you talk really about the damage the media, the media and the Democrat narrative is doing. It's great damage.
It's insane. Yeah, that part's kind of insane, right? So, but the reason why those subsidies were going away, and I want to talk a little bit about that, and that was the stated purpose of the shutdown, and why the Democrats didn't want to open the government. And I think it's worth a few minutes to explain why Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act actually caused increases in prices rather than the promised decreases. And to do that, you first have to understand what insurance is. Insurance is not healthcare. It's a way to pay for healthcare. And insurance as a concept was never intended to cover routine anything. So think about your car insurance. It doesn't pay for your car's oil change or new tires. It pays in the event of an accident. And the reason why healthcare is different, why healthcare insurance is different, is because government tried to freeze wages back during World War II. And because anything government touches generally breaks, companies put healthcare coverage into wage packages, and that was their way to get around wage freezes, and it's stuck. And because of that, people generally use healthcare without really thinking about the cost. So if you actually have to pay every time you went and see a doctor, you'd remember that, your flu goes away after about 4 days. And if you're sick after day 10, then you go see a doctor, right? But that's
I don't even go see a doctor then.
Right. But that's kind of the system that we got.
I love my doctor, but I can't afford
it. I love mine too.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the system we had up until the Obama presidency. And the theory behind Obamacare was that you forced young, healthy people to buy insurance that they didn't need, and that would cover the cost for older, richer, and sicker people. And as a side note, the fact that didn't cause street demonstrations just shows you how much we need to do a better job of teaching economics to young people. But there actually was some logic to the argument. In order to make premiums reasonable for everyone, you need healthy people in the system. And again, it's like car insurance. If everybody who buys car insurance gets into a wreck, the company goes bankrupt. You need people to pay the premiums and not get into the accident for the system to survive. But young, healthy people boycotted Obamacare because it was so expensive. and didn't give them any choices. And that's left just the older and sicker people in the pools. And when you add to that the fact that every political constituency wanted their slice of pie or pork, I guess you would say, into the system, people my age were forced to buy like reproductive health care or mental health insurance that I would otherwise not buy, which you were told during the Obama administration was a more comprehensive system. You'll remember that word. It was used all the time, which it was. But again, there was no choice to get out of any of it, so everyone's costs went up. And in fact, premiums have roughly tripled, as have deductibles. So much for cutting costs, right? So the system failed just like anybody with a basic knowledge of economics knew that it would, but nobody could admit that politically. So the way it was covered up was for Congress to put in place what were called temporary premium subsidies, meaning that the government paid a part of the person's monthly insurance premium that otherwise individuals would still have to pay. So even with tripling premiums, the cost of Obamacare was still not able to cover the cost of the increasing health care costs that you were told were going to come down. So Congress took your income tax dollars and used them to also subsidize the cost, and then they call those tax dollars premium subsidies, right? The excuse that Congress used was COVID at the time, and it was, an emergency. And every time you hear the word emergency by anyone, by the way, someone's coming for your rights or your wallet. But even Democrats like Joe Manchin couldn't support making the tax subsidies permanent because the costs were bankrupting the nation. So they were, quote, made temporary. And they're expiring, so that's what the Democrats were shutting the government down over. And the position of the Democrats is that we need to continue to use tax dollars to prop up the system that will bankrupt us. And the Republicans have been willing to let the system collapse, which it should, but that's not politically possible. Okay. And oh, by the way, that's why Joe Biden whispered to Obama that it was a big effing deal, because once people get something, it's hard to take it away. And the only alternative is truly socialized medicine, which was their goal from the outset. So that's the mess that the system is in right now. Right? And the Republicans have really done a horrible job of explaining why the market works. And even if they did, they would need 60 votes to change anything, which won't happen. So the obvious answer to increasing costs would be to allow people to buy their own catastrophic insurance and to fund HSAs or health savings accounts tax-free so that they can view buying care the same way they view buying anything and to get government out of the business. And that's also not going to happen because, as my father, God rest his soul, would say, it's much easier to say free stuff than it is to explain why market competition drives down costs. But there are alternatives to a truly open market that we could think about, right? Countries like Switzerland and Ireland have a universal requirement for having health care insurance, but it's not hyper-regulated like ours is. Look, I'm a pretty healthy guy. I work outside all day long except for when I'm on the show. And I would buy catastrophic care in case I get some really serious cancer that would bankrupt my family, or in case I get bucked off by my knucklehead horse. But I wouldn't buy reproductive or mental health care, which I'm now required to buy under Obamacare. And if we allowed people to make choices, they would begin to shop for what they want instead of being forced into buying the everything bagel when a plain bagel without cream cheese might work for them, right? And people who want everything can buy what they want. And it becomes more like the car insurance where you pay for your oil change and your tires, you pay the deductible, but if you have a stroke, then your insurance kicks in. But if you want to buy a maintenance package for your car, you can do that, right? But you have to pay for that, not me. I don't have to pay for you buying the maintenance program, right? And believe it or not, there's actually a model for that here in the United States that follows that system. Under Medicare Advantage, that's pretty similar to that Swiss model I just mentioned. The Republicans passed that in 97, and under that system, insurance companies compete to deliver Medicare benefits. So it's possible, and it's popular, and it actually works, right? The other issue is that we do need to cover the not sick and the not old by fixing the market for them and not using them to fund the care for people like me who are older and have money, right? That's just not fair. And you could do that by ending the Obamacare community ratings. And what that did was prevent insurance companies from charging different premiums to healthy people rather than sick people. And again, back to our car example. Why should somebody who has no accidents pay for the person who goes out and plays bumper cars every time they get in their car? That's what the community rating system under the Obamacare plan did. And now if you do all that, you still need to figure out how to cover the older, sicker patients, right? You can't say to somebody with a debilitating disease that they have to go out and buy insurance on the open market because they can't. And you cover them by creating what's called a high-risk pool that is subsidized, and you can allow insurance companies to transfer some of the risk from the healthy to the unhealthy, but not force them to equalize everyone like they did under ACA. So, the point is you can fix this insurance crisis here in the U.S. The issue is that it will take 60 votes to do anything because things like a community rating can't be changed through reconciliation. So what might work if I were in Congress? And I think you could get there in the Senate by trading some temporary extensions of the Obamacare subsidies for the changes I just talked about, as long as you made those subsidies available only to existing ACA customers. Most people go on the ACA marketplace when they're between jobs, so all the new enrollees would have to go into this new plan that I just described, and eventually you would move almost everyone away from the community rating scheme. You'd have a more market-driven approach that would lower costs, like markets always do, right? And then there's the line that insurance companies are making too much under Obamacare, but that's not exactly correct. Under ACA, insurance companies are allowed to keep only 15% of their premiums, which of course incentivizes insurance companies to inflate premiums. I mean, go figure, right? So yes, the overwhelming majority of the subsidies go to care, but there is also a perverse incentive to drive up costs under the Obamacare plan under ACA. And as always, if you want to drive down costs, you increase supply and competition, whereas the ACA did precisely the opposite, so no wonder costs went up. And I just think this is the Republicans' last chance to get ahead of this healthcare debate, which they need to do politically to survive, and to prevent a socialized system like the ones that are failing the citizens in most of Europe, while at the same time bankrupting their governments. Right? So if you feel free to send a link to this piece when you're done to your representatives, I'll be glad to consult to them for free. We need to get this right. We have about 1 year to get this done before what winds up happening is the system that we currently have becomes permanent, and then bit by bit we wind up bankrupting ourselves. Right? So just a little bit of background on how we got here and what the alternatives are. Don't let anybody tell you that the alternatives are this absolute free market where everybody is struggling to get health care. There are ways to make this work. We just need to get some intelligent people in charge talking about it.
Good luck finding them. Hey, John Perillo, thank you, my man. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and thank you again to you and your listeners for spending time, and hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We live in a great country and have a lot to be thankful for.
Happy Thanksgiving, John. You and the whole gang.
We'll be there. You take care, guys.
All right, brother. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our friend John Basiliga and all of his great companies. But today we feature Eastern Roofing Systems. They are the premier roofing contractor in the eastern United States and one of the biggest. Commercial, institutional. And they bring that expertise to you because they're headquartered in Jessup. Your small building, your house. Eastern Roofing Systems. Michael Keating. Born Newark, New Jersey. Mike touched countless lives with his compassion, dedication, and radiant smile. Raised in Pittston, Pennsylvania until he joined the Army in 1961. He trained as a cryptologic equipment repairman, providing outstanding support to the ASA 82nd Airborne, including a brief tour in Vietnam, as well as support during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. After that, he worked for Bell Telephone and eventually made his way to the National Security Agency, Fort Meade, Maryland. He continued his dedication and service to the country, spanning 35 years, both in the military and government sectors. He was a softball player down in Maryland. He bowled a 300 game. He was blessed with 2 sons from his first marriage. In 2002, he married the love of his life, Peggy Bodnar Keating. They shared a happy, loving life together until his passing. Tragically, he lost a grandson prior to his passing, Connor Ryan Keating. He's survived by his wife, Peggy, 2 sons, sisters, 5 grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren, and many other family members. Michael Keating, our veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, morning clouds, then sunny and breezy, 48 degrees. I think we're going to surpass that because it's already 45 outside the studios. Tonight, cloudy skies, low 35. Tuesday, clouds with showers likely late in the day, 50 degrees. Wednesday, clouds, breaking sun, milder, chance of showers, high near 60 on Wednesday. Bob Cordaro back. And Mother Teresa, St. Teresa for today, November 24th. If you are joyful, it will shine in your eyes, in your conversation, and in your countenance. You will not be able to hide it because joy overflows. Lovely St. Teresa today. Thank you, Mary Regina. By the way, Mark from Hazelton pointing out, it's Dale Carnegie's birthday today. An American writer, lecturer, best known for his self-help books, particularly his famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And, of course, the courses, they had courses and everything. I went to, it was a Dale Carnegie speed reading course. And I took it and I realized what the concept was. Which is that, you know, when we read, we say the words in our head, and you may not even know you're doing it. And that's what takes time. So instead of reading the words in your head, you teach yourself how to absorb the words without reading it with that voice in your head, pronouncing every word. You just look at it. I think that was the basic concept. It's so long ago now. And I said, you know what? I enjoy reading too much to speed read. I don't want to do it. So I stopped taking the course. But anyway, Dale Carnegie. Happy birthday. Thanks, Mark. So I've got a letter. A dedicated left-winger who says he's now an ex-listener named Wally. it's the usual. The usual. He's got Trump derangement syndrome. Really sad. And he goes through the global warming, glaciers are melting. They're not. Pacific Island nations are flooding. Well, they always have. The Dems care about Mother Earth, and Veep Harris would have been a fine chief executive in the same mold as Golda Meir, I think he's trying to say. Oh, no, Golda, Margaret Thatcher, and Mrs. Gandhi. No, I'm sorry. She was stupid. She was incompetent. And she was a complete phony. Like, let's face facts here. What are you trying to... I don't even know if she believed in the left-wing crap that she would deposit upon us regularly. I really don't know if she even believed that. But again, just like Mom Donnie, they are for it because it's their road to power. That's their road to power. It's sad. It's crazy. And we're the victims. It's really scary. You take policies, and remember, they try to isolate them. They try to isolate individual policies so that you don't realize the overall concept is the growth of government and government control. They still talk about Obamacare as though it worked. Everybody knows they're paying more. Everybody. But they just try to pretend, well, no, we're not subsidizing this to the tune of $400 billion to the insurance company because it's failing. We're doing it because we're good people. We care. Wow. Somebody says, I think when Fetterman took his stroke, he fell on his radio iPod and it switched from NPR to Bob Cordaro show. Because everything he says now publicly makes common sense. Congrats, John Fetterman. Yeah, you know, it is so true that he's the only Democrat making any sense. Bill Maher on occasion. Butch from Mountaintop says the fact that the Democrats outraged to release the Epstein files is going to turn into the biggest political backfire in our nation's history by the time it's all said and done. Absolute cinema. I have my popcorn ready and I'm here for all of this. ALTS back at you, Butch. Yeah, I mean, crazy. Absolute craziness. And every time they fail, think about it in education. Think about it in national defense. Think about it in intelligence. Think about it in any respect you want to. Obviously, Obamacare. When the government fails, they don't say we failed. They say we need more money. There's not enough resources. They just make it up. I know. It's really sad. And it's disturbing that people fall for this. They do. They fall for it all the time. All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. All right, we won't get into the psychedelic stuff, but this date, 1966, the Beatles recorded their hit Strawberry Fields Forever. Abbey Road Studios in London, England, Murph tells us. Bob Cordaro back on the program. And yeah, how about that on SNAP benefits? It's so many things got out of hand in the Biden administration. It was literally a ship that was rudderless. There was no leader. There was an agenda and people pursuing it with vigor, but there was no leadership whatsoever. Chuck from Carbondale said, Bob, we have an epidemic. We need to develop a vaccine for Trump derangement syndrome before it's too late. I know it. It's I don't know. I'm not understanding. Like, so I say, with proof, Obamacare has failed. I say that government, the two really, I would guess, gold standard programs, necessary, by the way, have wasted over cumulatively trillions of dollars. That's Social Security and and national defense. Throw the intelligence in there, another $150 billion. So $1 trillion a year plus on national defense and the intelligence apparatus. Utter, complete failures. Let's think about, let's go to intelligence now. $150, $200 billion a year. Let's take that for example. The intelligence apparatus told us that Ukraine would fall to Russia in 3 days. The intelligence apparatus failed to detect the attack of October 7, 2023 on Israel. What are they actually doing that benefits us? Please tell me. I really want to know. What have they done? And what do they do that works for us? For their couple $100 billion a year, what would we lose if we dramatically reduce this bureaucratic bloat? China spends about 1/5 of what we do, maybe less. And have become from zero, virtually zero, our biggest geopolitical threat militarily and intelligence-wise. Somebody texts in, Bob, I say we stop listening to all the experts in every field. What's the most common headline? Experts surprised. They don't know what they're doing. No, they don't. And they're selling their own book. Very often, they're the ones, they've got an agenda behind it, a personal agenda. I don't know. Hey, Bacardos, Raymond Weil, Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinoa, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, Tory Burch, Victorinox, Bulova, G-Shock, and Bacardo Jeweler Watches, 1050. Never knew the name of this song, and I've sung it before. I love it. David Bowie, this date, 1972. Murph says he released his hit, Genie. I don't know what that means, but I like the tune. Bob Cordaro back, WILK. And, yeah. So, Mondami, after he got his courage back when he left the Oval Office, he's a fascist. Well, and again, they don't even know the meaning of the word. The closest we've gotten to fascism was the Biden administration in this country. That's control of private industries for government good, for government power. They don't even know what fascism is, but they throw the word around constantly. I don't get it. It's just what is. It's just a sad state of affairs for these people. Somebody texted in, President Trump said John Fetterman's his favorite Democrat because Fetterman actually wants to find common sense solutions to our problems without dragging party politics into the issues that will make our country great again. To think that the solutions are going to come from government for any problem we have. That's what Zoran Mondami says. There's no problem too small for government not to care about. Well, that is beyond frightening. And then I want to know a problem that they've solved. Give me a problem the government has solved. There are none. You get a government solution, you get failure, and then unintended consequences. It repeats itself constantly. Think about any of the solutions to issues that the Trump administration has effectively executed upon in these first 11 months. Any of them. There only been when the people in the administration used private thinking, independent thinking, and non-governmental power to fix something. The only time anything happened. That's been their solution. And please don't be waiting for the government to fix something. And any fool that thinks they will, doesn't make any sense. You watch failure after failure after failure. The Democrats shut down the government for $400 billion that they want to give to the insurance companies to cover up the fact that Obamacare has failed. Which in itself exposes their lies and exposes the failure. Crazy. Well, my Bacardi Jewelers watch tells me it's 11 o'clock on the nose. We'll take this break for the news and be back. We've got the Monday wrap-up with our man Chet Parlavecchio after that. Great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it is 10 or 11:08 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Monday, November 24, year of our Lord, 2025, Thanksgiving week. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great company, Eastern Roofing Systems, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John. Like Michael Keating, Pittston, Attorney Lawrence Finn, Pocono Pines, and Jerry Mott, Scranton. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense after that brief news adjournment, promising you that our commitment to common sense will create a sanctuary of sanity for all of you to bathe in, to enjoy, to luxuriate in if you so choose. Because I'm telling you, they're all crazy. You know the old line, it's not you, it's me. No. It's them. I promise you. In any event. It's Monday. Well, you know, we've got to wrap up things. And that means Chester Parlavecchio, our man, Penn State star, Green Bay Packers star, Dancing with the Stars star. This was his song. And he's in the New Jersey Hall of Fame as a coach. He coached in the NFL. He's done it all. Our man, Chet Parlavecchio. How are you, Chester?
What's up, Bobby? I told you, every time you start that song, I just start laughing.
Yeah, right? It's so unlike you, that song. I'd be expecting AC/DC for your theme song, you know?
Nah, are you kidding me? I was an Earth, Wind, and Fire guy. You know something, Bobby? I went to go see last week. Me and my wife, I took her, went and see a fake Earth, Wind, and Fire,
yeah.
And they were incredible. I mean, I've seen them 6 times in my life. No, I was a disco boy in those days.
Well, Italian from Jersey, yeah, you could go. You could go either way. Yeah, you could go either way.
Expect?
All right.
So we got a lot. I'll tell you what, Bobby. This was. We always said from the beginning, doing this, we wanted to do a little different perspective. Sometimes let people have an understanding of what goes on behind the scenes and what goes on with different teams. And I want to take 1 second. I was thinking about this for the last 2 days, how I want to handle it. You know, we always talk about our locals first. There's some great stories there, and they're connected this week. You talk about Penn State. Matt Rule comes in, who's a candidate at Nebraska, who people were throwing his name about as a possible candidate at Penn State. So he's going in there highly motivated. The Penn State kids on senior night come over there, and they just play a great football game. Probably looked like the team that everybody thought they'd look like in the beginning. They played motivated. You have a kid like that kid Grunkmeyer. He looks like, to me, he might be your quarterback of the future. 11 for 12, 180 yards throwing. Katron finishes record-setting day. Touchdown records at Penn State all time. 100-something yards rushing. It was a great way to end it. But you know something, Bobby? It deserves a moment. It's Penn State, and we are in the middle of with Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and that's our home. That's where I'm from, and it's a very emotional moment for a senior at Penn State on that day to realize. I remember my last game was against Notre Dame, and we had beaten Notre Dame on a goal line stand. It couldn't have been more poetic if you tried. And I remember breaking down in the bus, literally crying, because I realized in that moment that my feet were never going to touch this field again. And probably the only time I felt worse was at the Fiesta Bowl, when I realized I was never going to wear that uniform again.
Yeah.
And it broke up. It was it's a very emotional moment, that moment. The walk through that tunnel on game day is intoxicating. It's a drug. It's a rush like no human being could ever feel. to poke your hand in the air and have 85,000, now over 100,000 people roar, it's intoxicating. And it's something that you wait your whole life to try to earn that opportunity to play in that situation, and you blink, like Coach Paterno said to me one day. He said, Chet, stop taking things so serious. You're going to blink, and this thing's going to be over. And it happens that quick. So my congratulations to the seniors. They didn't lay down on Beaver Stadium. That's our home ground. It's a very emotional day to say goodbye, and which leads us to this. The good news is Rutgers, who got manhandled by Ohio State, and then Rutgers actually played as hard as they could. I mean, they hung in there for a while. They really did. The kids played tough. The defensive kids played tough. But now you have a huge game next week. You have Rutgers and Penn State for somebody to go bowling. And, hey, listen, you play a full season, I want to go spend a week down in Florida. You know what I mean? It's the opportunity. Each team will be fighting for that sixth win. Both teams have the same record. So all of a sudden you have a huge game down at Rutgers for a team to have the right to go to a bowl game. And if Penn State has 6 wins, there'll be 50 bowls that'll want them to come because the following is so good. So you have that going on. And then University of Pittsburgh, they might have found their quarterback. You got that young kid. I can't pronounce his name. I mean, it's Heinzelmeyer, whatever his name is. He's a true freshman. And like I always tell about true freshmen, they're too dumb to get scared. They don't know enough yet. And the kid went down to Georgia Tech, in which Georgia Tech needed that game if they wanted to play in the ACC title game. He goes down there. You got the kid Hangs King, who everybody talking about for the Heisman. He has his worst night. And Pitt jumped all over him, which opens up a great opportunity for Pitt to play for the ACC championship possibly. So a great weekend for local college football in the sense that they were interrelated with Rutgers and Penn State having a big moment. And now Pitt doing what they're doing, a great ending to their season, going down to Georgia Tech. It was awesome. So then we get to this part. After our local roundup, I always get the kick out of this time of year. For some reason, we look at the top 25, and I always get a giggle out of this. Certain teams get a week off. Well, Georgia, Alabama, and Texas A&M, 3 of the top 5 teams in the nation, they got to play. Georgia got to play Charlotte. Alabama got to play Eastern Illinois. And Texas A&M got to play Stanford. I don't even know where that is. And they all had 50-point lines going in. And guess what? They didn't cover. But, I mean, I don't understand how the middle of the season or the last third of the season, when everybody's fighting for playoff positioning, they have those games fit in there somehow. That had to feel good to rest your boys going into title games, SEC and Big 12 title games. That had to feel good.
But, I mean, it was barely a scrimmage.
Oh, right? That's what I'm saying. So again, they had a bye week. They had an NFL bye week. Yeah. So again, sometimes you just shake your head, and then we go into the bottom end of the top 25, and again, BYU's holding on to the 11 hole, and Miami's holding on to the 12 hole. Well, Pitt here again. Pitt could be a huge factor in this. I think they're coming to Pittsburgh, Miami. Pitt has a chance to destroy their dreams, so that's gonna be real good. Utah's at 13. If they could get to the SEC or the Big 12 title game, they'd be in good shape. Vandy's hanging in there. They're I just have this pick. Again, they play Tennessee this week, another good football team. If they could win, again, they're at 14. They'd have to jump 2 people, but I can't see why they couldn't. And then Michigan at 15, again, if you beat Ohio State, do you make that kind of jump? These are all the questions that the committee or the formula for whatever it is that gets the final ranking. You're closing in on it now, and it's going to be, like I said, every week there's a little bit of a shakeup. So that's your college
That's
football.
a game I wanted to ask about because we don't usually look forward. It's a wrap-up, but Michigan has had Ohio State's number for a long time.
And I'm sure that's in Ohio State's mind, and I think it's in Michigan, the game. So that's not going to be easy. I mean, I think Ohio State is better? Yeah. They played without some of their starting wide receivers this week. They were undermanned on the edge. They did not look good against Rutgers. To me, they did not look good. And Michigan will be beaming with all kind of confidence. Michigan realizes if we can pull this off, beat the number one team in the country who's been number one all year, if we can do this, then we have a right at least to move up to number 12. Let's put it this way. If Michigan beats Ohio State, you think they're better maybe than BYU or Utah?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And, so that for them, this is a huge argument for them. This really gets them, in the picture, in the discussion about the final top 12 again for the college football playoff.
Chet Parlavecchio, hang with us through the commercial break. We'll come back and do the NFL. It's the Monday wrap-up with Chet Parlavecchio. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Murph tells us November 24, 1973, Ringo Starr moved up to number 1 with his hit Photograph, co-written by George Harrison. And before that, Apollo 12, this date, 1969, splashing down safely in the Pacific. They went to the moon and back. Some would argue they didn't, but I'm sort of there. Slick saying the moon landing, the more videos I see about it, the more I lean towards it was filmed in Hollywood. LTS back at you, Slick. I'm not going that far with you. I'm sorry. Well, we're in the midst of our program and our weekly feature with our guy, Chet Parlavecchio. Chester, let's turn to the NFL. What do you got, my man?
This was simple this week. This can be encapsulated one word: blown leads. This wasn't on the local front. Losing games in the fourth quarter was the theme of this week. I mean, you take Philadelphia. I mean, that's a bad loss. You're up 21-0. You're in complete control of the football game. And you know what happens, Bobby? It's like in hockey when you have the infamous 3-goal lead. You take your foot off the gas pedal. Next thing you know, they get the first touchdown, and you say, okay, we got to start playing again. But now you can't juice it up again. It's hard to restart your engine. Then they get the second one. Now it's 21-14, and you're fighting for your life. It's hard to re-put your foot on the gas pedal once you take it off. And in Philadelphia's case, it just got away from them. I mean, 14 penalties. You can't have that. They had no run game. They just stopped playing. And essentially, you know, I give Dak Prescott all kind of credit. Again, this is a guy, to me, that should be in the MVP talk. He's done an incredible job in Dallas. It looks like the old Dak. I mean, he threw for 350 yards, got his team coming back. So, you know, props to Dallas. They needed the game. They were the more desperate team. And Philly just got lackadaisical. They just, like I said, they took their foot off the gas pedal. They lost their intensity, and they couldn't crank it again. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, you know, again, fourth quarter loss. You're in control of that game in Chicago. Again, I think Mason Rudolph has done a pretty damn good job. I mean, again, coming off the bench, 180 yards throwing. I mean, again, for a backup quarterback, he's very serviceable. They ran the ball well. Gainwell ran. He had over 100 yards rushing. So, you know, it wasn't like they didn't move the ball. They just didn't get the stop when they needed it. And, again, for a guy to run the seam that way at the end and that seam route, for them to drop coverage like that, that's inexcusable at that time of the game. And you're seeing the maturity of Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams in Chicago is growing up. He's starting to get good. The guy there, their coach, what's his name, the kid from Detroit, he's doing a great job of building this kid up. I mean, he's a different quarterback from last year to this year, much more mature. Then you take, again, the Giants. The Giants can write a book. Here's 100 ways to lose a game. I mean, they have given you every way possible to lose a game. Really, they could lose. Yeah. I mean, you talk about here's the funny part, Bobby. I was never a Giant fan my whole life growing up. I was a Packer fan. Hey, when you got a name like Parlavecchio, what do you think? I follow Lombardi.
Yeah.
So my point being is I never liked the Giants. But even I'm feeling bad for them right now. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you just designing these ways to lose games? I mean, they were in complete control. Hold it. Jameis Winston has done a great job. I think he has really.
What happened to the young quarterback? Is he hurt?
Dart's hurt. He got a concussion.
Okay.
And it's just smart. And I think Jameis is professional enough, been around the league. He's gone in there. He's done a great. I mean, Bobby, they had 500 yards in offense yesterday, the Giants, and lost the football game. They were up by 10 points in the fourth quarter again and blew the football game. I mean, they gave up, you know, again, whatchamacall, Gibbs is probably the best back in football for Detroit. He had 220 yards rushing. They couldn't stop him. It was like him running through a sieve. I mean, it was just, you know, there was nothing there to resist. But what a heartbreaking loss again for the Giants. I mean, you talk about a year where they've played some good teams, very tough, with just, you know, they don't have it. They don't have those people. They don't have the vertical threats. They don't have the breakaway runner. They don't have those people. Their secondary is abysmal right now. The linebacking core is abysmal. They don't have it. And they don't have those people right now. And yet, they're playing competitive football. So, you know, you got to say that. And then the Jets, That game was better than taking no dose. You could, if you had a headache and you wanted to pass out, put a tape of that game on and you'll sleep through anything. That was hard to watch, man. I mean, Lamar Jackson looked rusty as could be. I mean, he looked awkward at times. Whether he's protecting the leg or not. Tyrod Taylor, again, 4 sacks, 2 turnovers. It was hard to watch. I mean, that was a stinkeroo. I mean, again, Baltimore did what they had to do to stay alive in the playoff, and now with Pittsburgh losing, I mean, you got to, they're right where they need to be. They're going to make the playoffs.
Any surprises?
The game of the week?
Yeah.
The game of the week was the Chiefs and the Colts.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that's a tough loss. The theme of the day was come from behind victories. The Colts had a 2-possession lead going into the fourth quarter, and for some reason went into a shell. They had done a great job defensively on Mahomes. They sacked him 4 times. They were in him. But you give a guy like Mahomes a second life. You let him live a second life, and he's going to make you pay for it. And the Colts got conservative. They withdrew in their play calling. I thought Daniel Jones looked like the New York Giant Daniel Jones for a few sets there. And whatever it was, it got away from them. And the next thing you know in the NFL, you blow a football game. So, like I said, the playoff picture's starting to take form. You're starting to see who the good teams are, who's fading fast. Again, the Rams look awesome right now. That performance by Tampa Bay, Baker threw for Pop Warner numbers. I think he threw for 15 yards or whatever. It was terrible.
Yeah.
The Rams look like the cream of the crop. Them and the Eagles in the whatchamacall in the NFC, and in the AFC, I don't know. I couldn't tell you right now from week to week. And just don't tell me, oh, the Chiefs are back. We don't know that. Right now, no one's back. Right now, it's the side of the league that's in anonymity or mediocrity. I don't know who's coming to the forefront, so that's still wide open.
Chet, what happens in an NFL team? What happens when they're not playing to their potential? What are the causes of that? What are the common causes? I know there's more than one.
Well, again, you go back and you talk about a lot of things. The first thing, whenever there's a problem with an NFL football team or any football team, would be high school, college, or pro, you look back at preparation. Did we do the things necessary to prepare? Did we do sufficient film work? Did they understand formations? Did they understand what we're trying to do to them? Did they understand who their key players are? What situational football that they're in? How do we deal with these situations when they like to do certain things? It goes back to preparation and focus. And usually whenever there's a problem, I've always said this to kids through all my years coaching high school football. I will tell you on Thursday I will tell you on Wednesday how we're going to play. When we walk off the field Wednesday after our last heavy day, I will tell you whether we're going to play well or not. Because if you prepared well, you'll be in a rhythm. There'll be a feeling that you have when you walk off that practice field. You know you're ready. Same token, I can tell you when someone's been bad and you could sense it in your practice week, hold on your hat, brother. This is going to be a tough week. And you know it long before the game ever occurs. It's just a feeling that you get for years doing this thing. It's called having the pulse of your team. Knowing the pulse of your team.
Now, this may be blasphemy to you, a coach. Are they overcoaching in the NFL?
Are they overcoaching? No. What I think has gone on in the NFL, I always said a funny thing that used to go on in the NFL. At the end of a game, when I was with the Titans, we would look at our play sheet. And now going into a game, we might have 15, 20 different defenses. Yet when I got the play sheet at the end of the week, at the end of the game, the next day to look at how we did, we only ran 4 things.
Yeah.
So we wasted practice time doing 12 other things that we're not even going to do in the game. So, yeah, is there overkill from time to time? No doubt about it. I'd rather do a lot. I'd rather do a little bit great than a lot half-ass. It's just that simple. I'd rather do a little bit really well. I can play cover 3 against anything you do, and I'll be sound. Because you know why, Bobby? That only occurs when you're fundamentally sound. Yeah. And what is a disgrace in the National Football League are fundamentals. It's the worst tackling league to observe in football. You're better off watching a good high school game to watch tackling.
Well, we made a comment, Chet. We have a group text, and usually it's about politics. But one of our guys texted. He said, "Hey, how many coaches are there on the sidelines in the NFL? How many have headsets, and who are they talking to?"
Well, you have 6 or 8 guys up in the box. You have another 6 or 8 down below. Again, you're right. I mean, the head coach has access to both sides, offense and defense. He could switch his headset on. But yet what's funny about those things, I always laughed a little bit with me and Munch when we would do our thing. When we would have a challenge situation, it was amazing how many guys up in that box got deaf and dumb.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Oh, you don't want? Munch would say, "What do you think, boys? Should we challenge this? What do you think? Is it close enough?" Hear no evil, see no evil. Until I finally said, "You know something? Give me the damn headset." And I'm the rookie up there. I said, "Give me the headset." Muncher, don't challenge it. Don't.
Yeah.
You sure? Do you mean? I said, don't. And again, it's amazing sometimes with all those bodies up there, with all those geniuses up there, how some people sometimes don't want to take responsibility in the moment for making a big decision. So sometimes a poor head coach is hung out to dry. He really is.
A good friend of mine, an old Rochester guy, Mark Mayer, texts, and he says he's getting chills listening to Chet. And he says, great practice makes the game easy.
Yeah, it does. That's right. Let me tell you something. I tell my kids all through my years, 30 years at all different levels, everywhere I've been, there's only one axiom that means anything. There's 2. You play the way you practice, and there's no denying that. And then the other one, I used to tell my kids in the off season, that means everything. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. When you're not in shape, it's amazing how fast you become a punk. It's amazing. But when you're in shape, you could fight through anything.
Love it.
And those are my 2 big ones.
All right. Our man, Chet Parlavecchia with the Monday wrap-up.
Hey,
Chet.
Bobby, thank you, by the way. For that box of Monte Cristos. Oh, that's right. They didn't get here yet.
They didn't get there yet. They're somewhere. They're somewhere. You have to come here to get a cigar from me.
Yeah.
That's
okay,
the deal. And then I've got unlimited amounts. Chet Parlavecchia, Monday wrap-up. Happy Thanksgiving, Chester.
You too, pal. Best to your family.
All right, man. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our veterans and their tribute. Brought to you by our man John Basiliga. Featuring today just one of his great companies, Eastern Roofing Systems. Headquartered in Jessup, PA. They're one of the premier and largest roofing contractors in the eastern United States. And they take that buying power. They take that expertise. They'll do it here in Northeast PA for your home, for your small building. Don't overlook that resource. Eastern Roofing Systems. Jerry Mott. He passed away November 8th at the age of 90. Born in Scranton, a graduate of the great Scranton Technical High School. He held the name of Little Toot for playing the trumpet in the school's marching band. He also served us in the U.S. Navy Reserves prior to his honorable discharge from service in 1960. Jerry was a devoted husband of the former Nancy Kellerman, his wife and best friend for 67 years. He was a devoted father to his son, who preceded him in death, Gerald J. Mott. He also had a daughter, Sandy Delia. He was Poppy to his grandsons, never missing any of their sporting events or school functions. At the age of 10, Jerry Mott would travel up and down Scranton's Piston Avenue with his wagon in hand, delivering groceries for Acme markets at a quarter pay per delivery. At times, the local trolley would load both up Jerry and his wagon and move them along the route. At the age of 16, he began his grocery store career with Acme Markets. It would go on to span over 4 decades while retiring as produce buyer after 44 years with that company. At the age of 59, though, he started his second career caring for his grandsons while volunteering at St. Joseph's Church, Divine Mercy Parish, Minooka. He was armed with his trusty wagon again, transporting hot food from the parish center to the food tents. He loved to travel. He loved the Nittany Lions and was an active member of Divine Mercy Parish. His monthly breakfast club with former co-workers from Acme, well, that was another big part of his life. Jerry Mott, our great veteran this hour, brought to you by our man John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, morning clouds, then sunny and breezy, 48 degrees. It's 47 already. We might break 50. Tonight, cloudy skies, 35. Tuesday, clouds with showers likely. Late in the day, 50 degrees. Well, then Wednesday, clouds breaks the sun with a chance of showers, but it'll be near 60 degrees. How about that? Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. Well, I mean, we covered everything we could cover here, football-wise. Big weekend coming up. I just enjoy watching it, especially the NFL. I'm a little, I'll watch the Ohio State-Michigan game, most likely. I mean, something may interrupt because it's not my priority. But I don't know. College has really turned me off with this transfer portal, with this NIL money. It's just crazy. And the NFL has its own quirks. Like I said, we were laughing about how many coaches are on the sideline with headsets. Who are they talking to? Half of the headsets have to be dummy headsets. They have to be. I guess if you want to look important, the game's on national TV, you throw a headset on your head. It doesn't have to be working. And just talk once in a while. Or look like you're intently listening. Simpler times, I don't know. I don't know that they're any better coached than they were 20, 30 years ago. I think they're, I don't know. Too much coaching. Somebody says they may not be over-coaching, but they're certainly over-officiating. I think it's well, we're used to it now, but it's almost time to get rid of the replay. Let the officials make mistakes just the way the coaches and players do. and let's live with it. That's all. Why not? Go ahead, Bulldog. Play our thing. Just think what you'll be missing. You won't have Trump to kick around anymore. No more elections or campaigns or debates with Donald Trump anymore. We'll certainly be missing something. Murph tells us this date, 1973, Elton John. He moved from number 15 to number 6 with his hit Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Cutie's a huge Elton John fan. I really like him. I've seen him more, I think, tied for as much as I've seen anybody, 3 times. And twice here in Scranton at our own arena. Anyway, I pointed out to her, I said, have you ever listened to the words? They don't make any sense. And he had a special guy, Bernie Taupin, wrote the lyrics for him. And none of the lyrics make any sense. Just listen next time. It doesn't detract from the music for me. But, yeah. Oh, Lord. By the way, I remember I'm living in Los Angeles. And they're asking if I'm going to return there, to take a job with the law firm I was working with after I graduated from law school. And my response was, no, I'm going back to Scranton, and I'm going to live there. And are you kidding? What? Couldn't even conceive of it. Now, by the way, this was a time when California, Los Angeles were the American dream, not today's dysphoria. So this is 1985. But I remember saying that, and I said, well, I'll be damned if I'm going to spend my vacations there, meaning in Scranton. And you think about all the traveling that's going on. They've got to worry about 6 million flyers over Thanksgiving. That doesn't count the tens of millions on the roads. And the good thing for me, I only have to travel like 2 miles for every activity I'm going to undertake. Maybe if I get to go to my sister-in-law's, it would be 8 miles. Isn't that great? It's great being here. We said, Bob, the vast majority of song lyrics make no sense if you just read them out loud. Now, somebody says the Bulldog has accomplished as much as Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. I'm not sure what that's apropos of, but I thought, Bulldog, what have you accomplished compared to Kash Patel and Pam Bondi? Just out of curiosity. Anything? Crime-wise. Crime fighting.
Oh, crime fighting?
Well, yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, no.
No, you haven't? They've gotten they've gotten all the top 10 most wanted.
Yeah, I haven't.
Have you done anything to that? Did you help?
No.
So you're third to McGruff, the crime dog, after Bondi and Kash Patel, right?
Something like that.
All right. That's all I wanted to be clear on. Because one of our listeners thought you were a crime fighter, I guess.
No.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's do this. Let's take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors. Let's get the Bloomberg Money Minute, find out what's going on in the markets this Thanksgiving week. And then we'll come back and wrap it up. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Murph tells us this date, 1975. Gary Wright released his hit Dreamweaver. By the way, and there's a song I should have played, but we're not going to get to it. Queen lead singer Freddie Mercury, this date, 1991, died of complications from AIDS. He was 45. Yeah. Hey, and we're going to finish. I mentioned it earlier. Because on November 24th, 2009, Breaking Benjamin had the #1 hit with I Will Not Bow. The gang was from Wilkes-Barre, PA. So we love them. And, of course, before that, Bush Gore, Supreme Court, 2000. It started this date and went from there. Eventually, they said enough of the counts and the recounts and the nonsense. So, we're going to miss Trump. I'm sorry. And I hate to be talking about it already. He's still there. And he's still being a pain in the ass for countless millions of Americans, which I sort of like. He's still being the most effective president we've seen in our lifetimes. Maybe Lyndon Johnson, but his effectiveness was for ill, not for good. Regarding Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, the listener says, I meant the number of arrests for Benghazi, January 6th hoax, the Russian collusion hoax, the 2020 election hoax, the auto pen hoax. I'm not agreeing with you there. Number one, this is the establishment. They cover their tracks before they commit the crime. And yet, we do have Comey indicted. He's probably going to get off because, remember, the main witnesses against him for lying to Congress are co-conspirators like Andrew McCabe. That's number one. So a very tough environment to prosecute people. They have referrals on Brennan, I think on Clapper. We'll see. We're going to see. I don't think it's too early. It's too early to pass judgment. And Kash Patel, as far as actual crime fighting, we know we're getting the truth. We know they've taken the top 10 most wanted off the streets. We know they've assumed, just for example, this Chicago train mess where the poor woman was burned beyond recognition by that savage. The feds have picked that case up. That would never have happened before. And the guy would have probably walked at some point. So let's give him a break. The Sue Henry show's next. The Rob O'Donnell show after that. We want to thank our veterans. Jerry Mott, Scranton. Michael Keating, grew up in Pittston. And attorney Lawrence Finn, Pocono Pines. Guys, have a great afternoon. Enjoy yourself. God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow. Same time, same bat channel. But for now, we must say adios and gavel to a close. This meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Have a great one.